Today it's my pleasure to have with us Sasha Chanup, who's the Executive Director and founder of Refuge Point. Welcome, Sasha, to the show.
Thank you, Allison.
I'm so happy to have you.
It's my pleasure to be here.
Often when I hear people talk about Refuge Point, they talk about it as a lifeline to the forgotten refugees in Africa. Could you just please tell us why they talk about it that way and what exactly your organization does?
Refuge Point finds lasting solutions for the world's most vulnerable refugees. One of the great problems facing the world today is that there are wars and genocide and violent persecution that force millions of people from home. They cross borders, they often live in limbo. They have no place to turn for security or hope. The average amount of time someone spends as a refugee today is almost 2 decades. People live often for generations in limbo situations. Our organization was created to find lasting solutions for people who have no other options for survival. So what we do is that we work with governments and the UN and other organizations to find those people in the most precarious situations. We help to stabilize their lives, and we look to permanently relocate them to countries where they can rebuild their lives safely.
And you do it because there are people that fall through the cracks, that the government, the United States, other governments, not everybody's taking care of everybody in these places.
No. In fact, there are about 15 million refugees in the world and many tens of millions more who've been displaced because of conflict. But today, people are living as refugees longer than before. And today, more people are ending up in urban areas where nobody knows about them. They're not going to camps where most people think refugees end up, but they're going to live in cities or in slum areas where nobody knows about them. They fall through the cracks of assistance, those who are most vulnerable. So when I was faced with the choice of either going back to work for a big international organization where I knew I could do a great deal of good, or starting a new organization focused on those people who fall through the cracks of assistance, I just felt like it was a no-brainer. I had to try to start a new organization.
But for you, it's a no-brainer. A lot of people who fear uncertainty would worry, how's this going to work out? What's going to happen next? I don't know if things are going to be good. You don't think that way. You're always thinking, what's possible? What's next? What I can do? You seem to have a very good relationship with uncertainty, or you're just not thinking about it and you're just saying, I have no choice. This is my path.
Well, I feel like there were things put in front of me that almost demanded action. And so it wasn't so much a question of shouldn't do this, but nobody else is in a position to do this. I mean, just for example, as I was thinking about creating this organization, there was a terrible massacre of Congolese refugees in 2004 who had fled to a refugee camp in Burundi. And they were pursued by extremists and massacred in that camp. The survivors went into hiding. And there were statements put out by human rights organizations saying that, this is condemned and the perpetrators have to be brought to justice. But the survivors were in hiding and were scared, and the killers actually put out pamphlets saying, we're going to come and find the survivors and kill them. When I looked at the landscape of refugees in Africa, these people were the high watermark in terms of those who are most in danger. So I thought I could go to Burundi and meet with the survivors. I knew them because I'd worked with Congolese before, and put together a rescue resettlement proposal and work with the State Department and the UN Refugee Agency to implement that. But that meant flying to Burundi, and this was the first time that I was kind of going off on my own without the support of an international agency.
Because no one would go, right? You were the only one who was willing
Well, no one, there's organizations working in Burundi, but this idea that the US, that these survivors could come to the US, no one was thinking in that way. And yet the fact was that these people were in danger where they are. That was the only option for their survival. They had already been massacred. They'd seen their relatives massacred. They had barely survived. Some were injured. So I went to Burundi, and it was a little precarious because I wasn't allowed to ride with a UN vehicle out to the site. So I had to rent a very rickety taxi, but it was kind of a dangerous road, and we had armed escorts. And I remember thinking, if this taxi breaks down, I'm going to be stuck in the middle of a place that bandits are killing people.
And you're on your own.
I'm on my own, and I don't have any support. But I went and met with the survivors and put a rescue proposal together that the US government and the UN Refugee Agency then used as a platform to help resettle all those survivors. So today, about 1,000 people who survived that massacre are in the US and rebuilding their lives and going to school and working, and they wouldn't otherwise be alive. So I thought that, when confronted with the idea that I could go and work with a big organization and help many people, or focus on those few that are forgotten and that have no options for survival, I needed to do that, even though that was, financially risky in a lot of ways.
So when you meet these people, they're faced with the greatest uncertainty. Here I deal with people who have lost their jobs, who may, going through a divorce, or they've lost some money, and those are very valid, situations in their lives, and they're very upsetting. But you're dealing with people who have lost family members, they've lost their homes, sometimes they've been brutalized. When you meet them and you see them, what's their view? Are they hopeful? Are they in despair? Do they believe that life will offer them something new? What conditions do you meet them, and how do you turn that around for them?
People are often in despairing situations. They are often hopeless. They are often traumatized. They have gone through the worst horrors that this world has to offer. When we think of genocide in Darfur, or the sexual violence against women in the Congo, or the anarchy of Somalia over the past 20 years. These are people who have survived from those places, who have often gone through terrible violence, and they're terribly traumatized. I think what we do is we offer a path to the future. And when we meet and start working with somebody, there is hope there, because there's a sense that there is something better in the future. Whereas most refugees are often stuck, Refuge Point for us means that moment of transformation from despair and hopelessness, where a path opens up to a future.
And have you seen people's lives change? Could you give us some examples briefly?
Extraordinary. Just for example, there's a young Congolese orphan boy whom we met in the streets of Nairobi. He didn't know where he would sleep at night. He didn't know what he would eat tomorrow. He had lost all of his family members in the violence in Congo. He didn't know where any of them were, and he had really no options for the future. He was living day to day, but he was scared that he would be attacked. We met him in those circumstances. We helped him we provided safety to him in Nairobi, and we helped him to come to the US. In the US, he now works as a translator in a hospital. He is now going to school. He found that his brother and sister are alive, and he's been in touch with them. He's planning to get married this summer. And just today, a few hours ago, he called me, and I didn't pick the phone up, and he sent me an email, and he said, "Sasha, you're not going to believe this, but I just found that my mother and father are alive. And for 14 years, I've lived as an orphan, and I was sure they had died, but I hadn't seen them die. I had been separated from them when they came to attack our village, and I just found that they're alive, and I have a photo of them." And he sent me the photo. So here, his life has totally transformed and turned around from a point of the lowest despair, but he is an incredibly inspiring guy who's managed to persevere through the worst times, and there's a hopeful future for him.
So you give people maybe.
So we give people maybe hope and opportunity.
And you've seen this with, I'm sure, hundreds and even thousands of people that you've helped.
Thousands.
This way.
And last year, we helped many, many thousands of people. And you see these extraordinary transformations. Human beings just want an opportunity. The people we help, refugees, just want an opportunity to rebuild their lives in safety.
And how do you see the future for these refugees? What do you see the future for Refuge Point, and where this is all going to go? And do you think you'll be able to help more and more people as time goes on? Or
we would like to see a massive transformation of the humanitarian space, where governments, the UN, and NGOs are all aligned with the idea that they can identify and protect the most vulnerable people and help to provide options for the future. Our organization doesn't just do this work ourselves, we help to create models that other organizations can follow. So we are starting to see a big kind of transformation in the whole humanitarian space that enables organizations to identify those people who are most vulnerable and help to provide options for the future.
So there's hope. There's hope
so
for the future.
There is a lot of hope for the future, but it takes, it takes everybody
Takes
to
everybody.
be involved in this. It takes everybody to get involved. The people that we are meeting, they have often met or been, you have heard about the people we've helped. You have supported the people we've helped. When you do that, you play a very active role in helping to transform somebody's life.
So you need everybody. We need
we need everybody.
And how do people get in touch with you? How do they find the organization? Are you online? Are you on Facebook? Is there a way to get in touch with you?
So we're online at refugepoint.org. We're also on Facebook, and we update regularly so people can go to Facebook and follow the stories of those people that we assist and follow the stories of our work and our staff working across Africa in precarious situations, helping to identify and protect the most vulnerable refugees.
That's great. Thank you so much for coming today.
Thank you.
And this is Allison Carmen. We were speaking with Sasha Chanoff today from Refuge Point, and I hope you check him out on refugepoint.org as well as Facebook. Until next time, be well.